what's going on here?
It's a food truck. It's going to be about 50 grand.
My name is Haitham, and I'm a student at OCI.
And then you find them out there that are homemade, you know, they're built, you know, for 12 grand, 15 grand. But then you risk equipment breaking.
I came here to OCI like 7 months ago from Egypt, and I'm planning on staying here in the States. So I was thinking about some kind of a business after school to open up, maybe in a restaurant or something like that. But this idea really grabbed my attention. So I was talking to him about the cost and if it's efficient and the laws and rules about it here. He gave me some good ideas and he was very helpful.
Yeah, this guy's actually a bunch of
Samuel Kwon, I'm a student here at Culinary Institute. I enjoy it quite a bit. I like the fusion. It really works. I think I like the sweetness of the Korean food and the Mexican like setup. Really a unique thing.
Where are you from?
Originally from Florida. And that's what kind of first inspired me to come up here is to maybe set up a food cart because of the low overhead and accessibility and everything.
Come on, Lowell, what do you got? Moment of truth. What do you say?
Really good.
What'd you get?
Bulgogi.
Had you had it before?
No.
I don't know.
Hey, what's in there?
Yeah.
What you guys serve? What you got?
We got all sorts of stuff. Korean barbecue, authentic, and then Mexican food authentic, kind of fused together.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, if you get a chance, come vote for us for Food Cart in Portland. They're doing a favorite food cart challenge, and we're in the competition with 5 good food carts. But I think we can pull it off and win it.
Okay.
Green sprout, cilantro, a little bit cucumber, variation. This is really truly fusion here.
I looked at your Twitter.
Oh yeah?
And I think you know one of my
Chef?
photographers.
Yeah, I know him really well. Yeah.
We do all the Lizard Lounge events.
Yeah. I was
My kind of food.
My mom,
Very good. Very nice. Goes well together.
We have a kimchi quesadilla.
Okay.
We have 3 different kinds of burritos, a chicken, a bulgogi, and a short rib.
Yep.
And then we have 2 each of pork, chicken, bulgogi, and short rib.
Wow.
Tacos.
It's a chicken burrito. It's a little different, but it's really good. I like it.
After U of O, I started an intern at Nike, and then just kind of ended up at Nike working. How many of you heard of the Jordan brand? And so like the Jordan brand is one of those like I knew I needed to make a change. So I said, you know, what can I do that's my own, that people will love, that I'll have a great time doing, and food service just came to mind. I was going to do a fusion like hot dog and burrito type thing, something real easy that I knew how to do. And I was watching a TV show and a friend of mine was on TV. His name's Chef Roy, and he owns Koji, and they're based out of Los Angeles. And I was like, are you kidding me? He's on TV. So I called him up and was like, Roy, what's going on down there? Like, you guys are making national news. He's like, well, I started a Korean taco truck, wasted one night. Literally after the bars, he went with his friend, his partner, Mark Magura, and they thought of this idea. Why don't we put your Korean barbecue in this taco and it will work? The public really didn't know about that yet because it was still in LA and it still hasn't, you know, broken the national scale. But when I did it, when I started about 2 months after that conversation, it had. It was almost one of those cool new food trends. And timing was a lot of my success, but the economy I think was a lot of it too. If I would have started my other concept, I still think I would have been successful. But having the guidance from a successful chef like Roy really helped me out. And then I took a red-eye flight to LA and knocked on his door. Like, Roy, I'm here. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I have work today. I'm coming to the kitchen. I'm gonna sit there and watch you. I want to learn how to make this food. It's like, you already know how to make it. You have your mom and dad. You know, like, I know they know how to do Korean barbecue. And I'm like, that's it? You know, you put in tacos and it's a wrap. You know, we're done. It's like, no, there's more to that, but you already have that basis. And I think that's what really I want you guys to know today, is that you guys have this culinary training that you guys, you know, paid for, you devoted your lives to, and be confident on that. Because I didn't have any of that, and I was confident. What's the formula to success? And there really isn't an answer to that. It's hard work, luck, timing, you know, all these different things, but there's not really a formula to it. So don't go into the world thinking that there's this right way to do things, because there's not. There's always going to be, what I say, the wrong way to do things, and that's called lessons and learning. And that's how I started Koi, is falling down and picking myself up and doing things a different way, so I know there'd be a different result, right? And so, like, people always ask me, how do you get that location? You know, that location is the best location in Portland. How do you work that out? Well, I asked for it. I knocked on the owner's door and I said, can I park here, please? You know, what do we need to do? No. Why? You know, is it because you're scared I might blow up? I carry $2 million of insurance. You want $2 million? You know, it's those kind of things that you guys got to know, that it's not as difficult as it seems. I started this under $5,000. You know, I took out a $5 grand loan from my mom and dad, went and leased a truck, told that person that in order for me to lease this truck from you, I need in contract that you take me in and make me work for you for free for 3 months. They were like, what? You don't want money? You just want to work for free for 3 months? I go, yes. And I want to know every single thing that you know about this truck, from how to empty out the water, to how many miles I get per gallon, to you know, how to make pico. You know, and they were like, let's do it. You start Monday. And then in 3 months, you pay us the money for the truck, right? That's all they cared about, right? And all I cared about was learning how to do things. And so after that, you know, I figured it out. I knew how to do things. And so with you guys are going to go through those trials and tribulations, but the cooking and the food side, you guys have already been trained on that. I don't know how many people are going into management or the actual culinary side, but both those sides are going to be important. And you guys...
Who's in management?
Management?
And then most of you are doing
culinary. So yeah, that skill set you guys are gonna know and have. And so be confident in on that. And then the other side of the thing that I carried and I brought to the table that I didn't realize was so important was the marketing, the social media, the getting it into people's mouths is what I call it. Because there's tons of food carts that I go to, and now I've gone to all the food carts to taste the competition, to meet the people that I work with, and you know, my basically, you know, my peers. And I'm figuring out there's awesome food out there. There's amazing food out there, but people might not know about it. And so know that that's half the battle, is knowing the back end of the kitchen. The management side, the hiring, the food, all that stuff, you guys know. And you guys are being taught that here from very good people. The other side, don't think it's not important. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to make it. You're going to have all these different items and all this great product, but no one's going to know about it. So definitely get out there and ask people questions. You know, like people come up to me and they're like, do you care that I'm asking you how to, you know, tweet out, you know, my food cart? No, because that's how I got into the industry, is I asked someone that knew how to do tweeting, and I figured it out right when it was before the bubble broke. Now, if you don't tweet, you're off the map, you know. But for me, when I started, that's what really got me the national press. That's what got me my New York Times article, got me my Gourmet magazine article, got me my Food and Day you know. All those were based on me being an innovative cart, right? And so it's up to you guys, the next generation, to come in and be more innovative. You know, there's different things that you guys can do. The mobile food cart option was probably the smartest way to go. I'll be honest, I have brick and mortar spots now that I'm building, and in the future I'm going to be, you know, focusing on that. And because they do more revenue, they're easier to run. You know, there's not little things like flat tires or broken, you know, whatever that can go wrong in the food truck. But if I would have started with a brick and mortar, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys today. And that's the whole aspect of what this has really brought for me in terms of marketing, in terms of, you know, presence. I go to catering events, I go to The Bite, I go to beer fests, and I'm literally a billboard for thousands and thousands of people, you know, and I know that, and I market myself because, or I make my truck look like this because I know that, you know, and so it's hard to do when you're brick and mortar. You're just trying to get people to come to your spot, but now I can go to these spots with thousands of people and just get my name out, and my brick and mortars are just kind of seeing that you know, fall off, and I think that's going to be, you know, important for you guys to know. And with the economy the way it is, it's going to be very difficult for you to go to a bank and say, can I get 200 grand? I have this great business plan, I have this great product, I have this degree, can I get 200 grand? They're going to be like, how many businesses have you guys started? You know, how much, you know, capital do you guys have? That's what they're going to want to know, because I've done it. Now I can go in, they're waiting to give me money. But now, because I have that 2 years under my belt, I've built that reputation, they know me, they can Google me, they can find me, you know, and that's what you guys want to do. And it's not hard to do, and I think that if you take it, you know, with those steps and take away the fear, you know, take away that analyzation, parallelization part of it, and just go for it and say, hey, if I lose out and I lose $5,000, I can still do whatever I want to do. You know, if I go in and this person tells me no, I can still go to the next parking lot and they'll say yes. You know, it becomes that sales mentality. And you guys might not have had that training, but know that that's really important. I knew I needed to get a work vehicle, right? And I knew I wanted one that wasn't like super cheesy. So I want to get a Scion because gas mileage, super, you know, like the cost was very, very affordable. And then I could get a lot of stuff in the back. So I went to the dealership, was already going to sign paperwork to buy the car, and I saw the marketing department. And I said, you know what? Might as well walk in there and ask if I can get a free one. So I walked in, you know, no joke. Why not? You know, what are they going to say? No? You know, and then I'm going to buy one, right? So I walked in and I said, listen, I'm gonna tell you who I am. I'm gonna ask for this and that. Who do I need to talk to? They're like, what? No, I don't get what you're trying to do. And I go, no, listen to what I'm saying though. Like, bring a manager here. I have a following of 6,000 people on Twitter. My demographic is 21-year-old to 35-year-old. I'm talking to the sales manager now. I have people that are buying their first car, that are coming straight out of graduate. I park at PSU. You know, like, I do events that are, you know, 2,000, 3,000 deep. I can get people to notice your product. We put a wrap on my car. You know, you make it look really cool outside. Put some wheels on that. I even told them we'll put neon lights underneath. You know, people will know that my company car is a Scion XB. And then lights started to go off in his head. It's like, you're right. You know, that kind of does make sense. Are you legitimate? Let me see your website. We go on the website and it's all these pictures of beer fests, of kids just having fun with, you know, like, he's like, you're serious. Like, you actually have this business. And let me talk to the regional manager. I go, well, I'm not going to sign anything now. I want to buy a car, but I'm not going to sign anything now. He's like, just wait a week. 2 days later, a regional Scion manager called with this story about how they did this rap in Texas. And it became this cool visual, you know, event where the artist basically drew on a computer screen and they projected the image onto a car. And they're like, would that be something you're interested in doing? I'm like, will I get a car from it? They're like, well, we can't give you a car because it's just the whole legal side of things, but we could give you a really good deal on one, and then every option that you want, you can have. I go, every option? They're like, every option. And so I sat there with the option sheet, and I'm like, navigation, I totally need that for catering. Like, you know, neon lights inside, because I have these lights that shine underneath. I'm like, I totally need that. Independent lights, whatever. And then I got heater boxes put in with you know, DC power, so I can have those in the car. They spent probably 15 grand on accessories on the car. And I would have missed out on that if I would have just bought the car myself. You know, and so that's a little lesson on just going out and doing a little bit out of the box. You know, everyone laughs at that story because it's like something that you wouldn't do. You know, like, you go buy the car. But if you think a little bit out of the box, there's a little bit more that you can maybe get from the situation. And in this, I got a relationship with them for life now. We've done probably 7 Scion events. Our cars are actual national Scion events car for them. They are going to do a new rap for us every year, and we call it the Rap Party, and we bring in a couple hip-hop artists, and then we have 2 artists that battle with graffiti, and they literally do that design on a wall, and they project it onto the car, and it becomes this huge spectacle, and people dig it, you know, and I think I would have missed out on a big opportunity if I would have just went to the sales desk and just signed and paid and walked out. You know, like 75 or 80% of the people would have done. You know, so just a little bit of a lesson on what you can get if you think out of the box, and just asking and being upfront and trying to get more never hurts. Worst thing that can happen is they say no, or they give you a funny look. That's about it.
How much of your input was put into the actual like visual?
Yeah.
You know, just
so I'm not that type of thing. I'm not a design guy. I can barely draw a stick figure. Right. So my brother is a design guy. Sure. So I used every resource I had because of cost, right? And so I had him, and I'm like, hey, help me out. What can we come up with? So we came up with a bunch of these logos, and for me, it was just about getting the heads, getting that attention. So I wanted bright highlight colors, and obviously, you know, I picked the brightest colors I could find. So the name itself, we had a difficult time with, and I'm still having a difficult time with that, because we're now starting to do more branding, and we're going to be, you know, growing pretty soon, very fast. And so I got to really stick with the name, and I want to get your guys' input on it too. We have Koi Fusion, which is the acronym. Everyone thinks we sell fish tacos sometimes, and that's the hardest part, right? But if I get to talk to them and explain to them, hey, we're Korean, Oregon, and fusion. Oh, I get it. Oh, I didn't know that. No fish then, right? So that's the part that I'm dealing with, right? But when I tell them that, it becomes, that's awesome. That name's sweet, you know, I get it now. But if I open a place in New York or a place, you know, in Texas, I'm not going to be able to do that. When they drive by, they're going to be like, I don't want fish tacos, you know. So I talked to Wyden Kennedy, John Jay, and some other people that I really respect, great company. They wanted me to do a K fusion, because I've already worked the whole K taco. So K fusion is what I'm doing for my brick and mortar locations, and I'm actually calling them expresses, because that's basically what it is. It's a kiosk, you come to it, it's not a sit down, it's an express feel to it. So it's K Fusion Express, and that to them is much more, you know, expandable. And that's the side of business that I never even thought of. You know, I didn't think that far ahead when I should have. You know, so once you're starting these things, you know, think that, you know, don't think small time, because that's not where you want to, unless that's what you want. And if that's what you want, more power to you, you're happy. But that's not what I wanted. And so now getting that in my head and having me think about that kind of thing, you know, it's important to know. And so with the logo and all that stuff, I just wanted it to be attention grabbing, you know, and I think that's key, especially being new.
Right.
Now that I have an established base, I can kind of change that. Right. And now, you know, play on it. But that goes back to the whole having a brick and mortar and truck thing, is the truck's still more attention grabbing than anything. Right. You know, and that's what I want. I really love the name. I love Koi Fusion. People love it here in Portland. Right. And so I know I need to have that be part of the business. Right. So what I've told myself is, I'm not going to veer too far away from my model, but I know what makes me more money, right? So each market that I go into, I'm going to put in one Koi Fusion truck to start. Gotcha. And that truck's going to go, you know, market everywhere, go hit all the events, and then my K Fusions are going to start coming into play.
So you're shifting from technician to entrepreneur at this point, right?
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah. I really love the name. I love Koi Fusion. People love it here in Portland. Right. And so I know I need to have that be part of the business. Right. So what I've told myself is, I'm not going to veer too far away from my model, but I know what makes me more money, right? So each market that I go into, I'm going to put in one Koi Fusion truck to start. Gotcha. And that truck's going to go, you know, market everywhere, go hit all the events, and then my K Fusions are going to start coming into play.
So you're shifting from technician to entrepreneur at this point, right?
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
And then that's kind of where I'm focusing more, is the growth now, and to keep the quality the same, and that's the most difficult part, you know. And once you start expanding, and you got to develop systems, you got to have, you know, and that's the part that you'll learn here in school and that I didn't learn, you know, and that's why it's becoming a little bit more difficult for me. But don't forget about that marketing aspect, because that aspect is so important these days, because there's, like you said, so much competition. I think there's what, 600 food carts in Portland? You know, that's insane. How are you gonna, you know, but we do. We separate ourselves from those 600 carts. We make ourselves different. We get in these competitions that are like 5 best, you know, vote for the 5 best food carts in Portland. That's where you guys want to be. And the more people, you know, like how many of you guys, was it your first time trying Koi today? Okay, it's not bad. How many of you guys was the first time that you heard about Koi today? I would much rather have less hands raised on the second question than the first. If you hear about it, you're eventually going to come try it. For Portland, they approached food carts with open arms, I think because of the permitting process, because they get $400, $500 a pop, you know, for each one. And so it's all going to evolve, but it's up to you guys to stay within that know how the game is evolving. And for here in Portland, I can see those parts, those cart pods for about 5 years staying viable, and then later on being more trucks coming in the future, just because of the way, you know, the nationwide trends are going. Yeah, I was gonna let everyone, you know, just kind of take turns. There's not much room in there, so maybe 2 at a time. You know, just kind of take turns and look around. You kind of get an idea of the room you have, the grill, how it's positioned. This is a pretty standard truck, brand new. They're about 180 grand. So Burgerville, they paid about 180 grand for theirs. I couldn't afford that, so I bought a used truck. It's about a $50,000 truck. Obviously, I didn't pay cash for it, so I pay payments on it. So that's where that lease comes into play, but very doable in terms of costs. Still a lot less than any brick and mortar. I'm here as a resource to you guys, so don't feel, you know, threatened or just weirded out. Just ask. If I'm busy, so I probably won't be able to get to it immediately, but I always will, you know, get back to it. I believe in karma, and that's how I got in the business. If it wasn't for Roy and those guys at Koji, I wouldn't be here today. And so I just think I just need to give back.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks,
cool.
man.
Open book. So let me know if you guys need anything. Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
See you soon.